conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Call it a massive mobilization of resources, logistics, finances, ad hoc staff across the country. While in the 29 states, we're going to have governorship and state houses of assembly elections. In the FCT, to be the area council elections. And like we say, Nigeria Decides is here to bring you up to speed with developments that will happen during the elections tomorrow. It's a countdown already. Call it less than 24 hours to these elections. Well, we'll be going to the centers as the program progresses, and we'll take a couple of reports in the course of the program. Meanwhile, my guest on set with me is Ibrahim Modibo. Ibrahim Modibo is a politician and public affairs analyst. Thanks for joining me on Nigeria Decides studio.
Thank you very much.
Well, we have had it a long day, and before we take the documentary, let me just say, you're coming from the field, more or less.
Yes.
What do we have on the field there?
Well, from every available record that we have so far, I think the whole arena is vibrant. You can see that there's enthusiasm, gross enthusiasm within the political class, and also the voters. I'm sure the beauty of democracy is a government of the people, for the people, and the people. So the people are the deciding factor. As Nigeria decides tomorrow, what leadership qualities are you looking for?
Okay.
Are we going to look at the character and characterization of these people? Are we going to look at the integrity profile? What have they been able to do within the society for you to think of voting for them? Do they have the populace at heart, or do they have their pockets within the ambits of their own economy? So these are the design factors. We have to look at leadership qualities of these people, the people that will move Nigeria forward, that will be in sync with the philosophies and thinkings of the president, who is out to give Nigeria a sense of direction, a change. This change is the decision tomorrow. We need people, lieutenants, foot soldiers, that will conform with the philosophical dictates of the current administration. Look at how to improve the economy. Look at how to fight corruption. Look at how to look into the issue of insecurity. Open the political field for mass participation. Rule of law, and also look at Nigeria as one area that the whole world is looking up to as a cradle of democracy. So if we are going to decide tomorrow, I want to believe that Nigerians today are set. By this evening, a lot of people must have made up their minds as to who they want to vote for. But I can assure you, integrity profile is very, very important, and also the issue of having programs of action. Unlike the days gone by that we had some political parties that could just go into the arena or go to the political fields and only dance. And at the end of the day, they'll just share the money and run away.
The beauty of this particular segment of Nigeria Decides is that since the election is about 29 states across the country, it's already in the public domain, while we are not doing in 36 states. Is that we have a couple of documentaries about the states. So if you stay glued to your set, you get to know so much about what the states and what they are made of. And now, right now, we are ready with Kwara State, a documentary on Kwara State.
Kwara State is located in the north-central part of Nigeria, with Ilorin as the state capital. The state was among the first 12 states created on 27th of May 1967 by the federal military government of General Yakubu Gowon and made up of the old Ilorin and Kaba province of the then northern region. Although Kwara has reduced considerably in size compared to what it was in 1967 due to further state creation exercise in Nigeria, it currently occupies over 14,000 square meters of land. According to the 2006 population census, over 2.3 million people reside in the state, which consists of 4 primary ethnic groups. The ethnic composition of the 3 senatorial districts of the state reflect the diverse nature of Kwara, with Yorubas in the south, Nupe and Barubas to the north, while Kwara Central is a melting pot of these ethnic groups and the Fulanis.
In 1979, at the end of the electoral process, it was very clear that the Kwara South, or the southern part of Kwara, belong to the UPN, meaning that traditionally Kwara South will always want to vote in line with their brother and sister in southwestern Nigeria.
Kwara has 16 local government areas, 6 federal and 24 state constituencies, as well as 193 wards. Like many other states of the Federation, Kwara had been ruled by 19 governors, out of which 13 were military administrators. Alhaji Adamu Atta was the first civilian governor of the state who emerged under the platform of National Party of Nigeria in 1979. He was succeeded in 1983 by Cornelius Adebayo of the Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN. While Mohammed Saba Lafiaji governed the state between 1992 and 93 under Social Democratic Party, Mohammed Lawal of All People's Party became the state governor on the return of democracy in 1999. Abubakar Bukola Saraki was the first civilian governor to rule Kwara State for 2 consecutive terms on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, a feat that has also been achieved by his successor and the current governor of the state, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, whose tenure will end in May this year. The Kwara State House of Assembly has always been dominated by the ruling party in the state, except in 1979, when the Opposition Unity Party of Nigeria and GNPP won considerable number of seats. In recent past, political developments in the state had seen the state governor, all the 3 senators, 6 House of Reps, and 23 out of 24 members of the state assembly moving from the ruling All Progressive Congress back to the PDP. Although Kwara is said to have enjoyed relatively peaceful political atmosphere since her creation, our respondent said the state is not without little political tension due to the alignment and realignment of political actors. This, they said, is among other factors that will continue to shape political participation and voting pattern in the state.
Politics in Kwara State, I think we have a more democratic structures around than we had in the past. In the past, it's only a mono politics that we play in Kwara State.
Today, many parties are on the ground, and people embrace party unlike before, and they choosing the party that they think can lead them to success in life.
According to the Independent National Electoral Commission, Kwara currently has over 1.4 million registered voters, out of which 1,149,969 have collected their permanent voter cards.
The balance of outstanding PVC left is 257,431, the percentage of PVC collected based on the PVC number we have. INEC Kwara scored 82%, which I think is a distinction.
Ilorin West has the highest number of registered voters and PVC collection, while Isin local government area have the lowest. Eligible voters in the state are expected to cast their ballots in 2,887 polling units and voting points across the state.
That was a special report on Kwara State, and we'll be bringing you other states in the course of the program. Well, let us go back to preparations now. Besides the ugly development in Akwa Ibom State this morning, the Independent National Electoral Commission has assured that that will not in any way affect the conduct of elections in Akwa Ibom State. INEC has also said it will improve on the strides recorded in the last election, talking about presidential and National Assembly elections. The IGP has also said that there will be no sacred cows. With these warnings, people will still anticipate problems. How can we go off this?
Well, if you look globally, under any democratic nature, you cannot in any way divorce the issues of problems, pockets of problems here and there. But ultimately, that is not going to affect the main election. I can assure you that the issue of Akwa Ibom is not new to our political development in Nigeria. Whenever I talk about issues like this, especially for participants or practitioners of politics, it's not new to us. It's not novel. It's something that occurs almost everywhere in the world. Our own is a learning process. And I can tell you that what used to be before, in the days gone by, it's a different thing entirely now. In those days, people would just sit under trees, write results, and go and announce them. They'll go and burn this person's house, go burn that person's house. But you see, with this administration, with the coming of this president, who, among his cardinal points of governance, is not only to look at the issue of security, look at the economy, and also look at the issue of insecurity, economy, and also the issue of, what is the third one that he has?
I mean,
fixing the economy,
yes.
Looking at the insecurity and the fight of corruption.
Yes.
Also, among the cardinal principles is to lay solid ground for mass participation. Let the electoral process be clean and neat, where people will come in and participate. In the days gone by, we only saw folks and this thing participating, but now you find people from the universities, intellectuals, people of means and class, they're all coming in because the process is being processed.
Was a concern, just like an analyst like you said in the studio, said that maybe it is because each time this thing happens, people are not taken to face the full worth of the law. So they feel you can just do it and get away with it.
No, this time around, I think there will be a difference. Because looking at the psychology of Mr. President, I think he's set to bring a clean slate into the democratic posture. I strongly believe that this time it will be a deciding factor. I'm sure his words would rhyme with action. Bearing in mind that he said the security agencies should take proactive measures in trying to curb all these problems. Make sure that the sanctity of the ballot box counts. Make sure that the people's opinion, the people decide. Not somebody or not a group of people using thugs and use. That's why I always appeal to youth. Whenever I talk about politics, I always think of George Santayana, the former philosopher and historian. He says, if experience is not retained, infancy is always perpetual. If we do not learn from the past, we are doomed to repeat it. Therefore, the experience of the past, I am sure that this country has gone through elections. We've seen the ugly, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think, from all indications, looking at it even by judgment of the international community and civil society, they've given pass mark to last elections. So I am sure that these are just by the sidelines, pockets of this problem is likely to arise. But I'm happy that it has not spread and it will not be spreading. Because I'm sure with what has happened in Akwa Ibom early this morning, where we saw the traditional, this kind of burning of electoral processes, it's not going to work. You see, Nigerians are wiser by the day. The issue, there used to be lack of honest, transparent, and self-aware approach to governance. That is why we had leaders, we had dealers rather than leaders. We had parrots rather than patriots, whose inspiration has not been able to meet the aspirations of the people. Therefore, the people are now out to make sure that they change whichever leader they have that is not performing or is not in sync with the philosophical dictate of democracy, giving governance to the people, providing the much-needed dividends of democracy to the people. If you don't do that, you are just nothing but a flat-footed Democrat that has not been able to meet the aspirations of the people and also to be able to look at the issues of development of your country. Any Democrat of conscience will tell you that the major issue of contention, of coming into power, is not just to line your pockets, it's not just to enrich your family, it's not just not to, but to make sure that you leave an imprint on the sand of time.
Okay. They will say that politics is about ideology. Political parties are about manifestos. And you heard from one of the respondents in that documentary from Kwara State that Kwara South used to be UPN, meaning then elections were done mostly based on political parties. But it looks as though there's a trend now where candidates is what the electorate look at to vote. But we'll come to that. Like we said, in the course of this program, we'll be bringing you special reports about the states. We did Kwara. It's the turn of Guber. Let's take a look at this special report from Guber State.
Guber State was created in August 27, 1991 from old Borno State by then military head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, with Damaturu as the state capital. According to official documents obtained, Damaturu was chosen to serve as the headquarters of the state because of its geographical centrality and strategic location at the convergence which connects the major towns of the state. Hence, the seat of power has become a melting pot of geopolitical activities. The 28-year-old state has a total number of 17 local government areas, namely Badi, Bursari, Damaturu, Fika, Fune, Gaidam, Gujba, and Gulani. Others are Jakusko, Karaswa, Machina, Nangeri, Guru, Potoskun, Tarmua, Yusufari, as well as Yunusari. Records had it that the pride of the Sahel, as it is officially called, Guber State, geographically covered an estimated area of 47,153 square kilometers and shares international border with the Republic of Niger to the north. It also shares boundaries with Jigawa, Bauchi and Gombe states to the west and south, as well as Borno State to the east and south, respectively. The major ethnic groups of this Sahelian state are Kanuri, Fulani, Kare, Bolewa, Badi, Ngamo, Ngizim, Hausa and Babur, and it has an estimated population of 2.5 million according to the 2016 census as conducted by the National Population Commission. The economic profile of the state showed that agriculture is the mainstay of the state's economy. Hence, Guber as a state is endowed with vast agricultural and livestock development potentials such as farming, fishing and livestock rearing, providing employment opportunities to over 80% of the population. It may interest one to know that Guber State is also blessed with huge mineral deposits such as gypsum, kaolin, potash and coals, among other minerals, with granite, beans, sorghum, gum arabic, etc. as some of the state's agricultural products, thereby contributing to the nation's food security and gross domestic product annually. This has placed the state to be the leading producer of gum arabic, often referred to as desert gold, and that is why in 1996 a gum arabic substation under the National Rubber Research Institute was established by the federal government in Garin Alkali in Gashua town. The river Guber, which the state derived its name from, runs through the northernmost part of the state, passing through Guru, Karaswa, Badi, Jakusko, Yunusari and Gaidam before emptying into the Lake Chad after passing through some parts of Borno State. After 20 years of lobbying by stakeholders, the federal government has commenced dredging and expanding the Kamadugu-Guber River from Guri in Jigawa State to Wachakal in Karaswa local government area of the state, a distance of over 100 kilometers, to open up the river for free flow of water to enhance dry season farming, fishing and rearing of livestock in the area. Since the creation of the state in the late 1991, Guber State was blessed with 8 leaders of great minds during both the military era and the civilian rule, namely Commissioner of Police Sani Daura Ahmad, Alhaji Bukar Abba Ibrahim, Commissioner of Police Wadi Ali, Commissioner Police Dabo Aliyu, Group Captain John Ben Kalio, Colonel Musa Ahmed, led Senator Mamman Bello Ali, and the incumbent Alhaji Ibrahim Gaidam. The state under these leaders had experienced a series of transformations geared towards placing the state on the beacons of accelerated development for the socio-economic activities to thrive.
What we have today is a decade of developmental administration taking place over the years, and in all of these we have seen development in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, in terms of road, in terms of job employment creation. We have seen development in terms of so many aspects that has to do with the improvements of the lives of human and infrastructure over the years. This is not to say, however, there are no challenges. There are challenges, especially as a result of Boko Haram insurgency, low revenue generation, and what have you. And I think it's a mix of development, successes, and challenges like every other society. So Yobe has continued to be on the path of progress, especially under this administration. We have seen tremendous improvements in terms of all of the social, economic, and political developments of our lives.
Yobe State has 14 emirate councils, and all of them having first-class status, with the Emir of Africa, Alhaji Muhammadu Abali Ibn Muhammad Idrisa, as the Chairman Council of Chiefs. Although the council has not been accorded specific statutory responsibilities in the 1999 Constitution, it plays a very vital advisory role to the state and the local governments on matters relating to peace and security, especially now that the state is recuperating from the devastation of Boko Haram insurgency. It should be noted that Yobe State is a home to great minds and people of proven integrity like late Ibrahim Waziri, late Malam Adamu Chiroma, and late Khalifa Hassan Yusuf of blessed memory, whose wisdoms and philosophies are sources of inspirations to the present generation and the generations yet unborn.
Nigeria any day can be ascribed as a subcontinent, because each time you go to one of the states, you find the confirmation of the fact that Nigeria is multilingual, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, name it. But let's go back to our discussion. The surprises about this particular general election is the fact that there is this kind of migration or a trend where in some of the states it's not about the political party, it's about the candidature. And the view is it good for the political parties? Is it a good trend? Because if it is so, what happens to the issue of manifestos for political parties?
We honestly have to appreciate the demands and dynamics of operational democracy. Now,
operational democracy?
Yes,
okay.
Operational democracy. In any democratic setup or in any political party, there is bound to be good politicians who are in sync with the philosophical dictates of the party, especially its manifesto, what the party stands for, and also looking at the issue of developmental structure within the polity, especially the party in power. Now, here we have a president who came in 2015. This is a politician, a highly respected politician, whose love for humanity found its deepest and most profound expression in his commitment to social justice and fair play for mankind. Under that big banner, a lot of politicians came underground. He said the philosophy of SAC, if you know SAC in Hausa, it is direct. That is from up to down. So under that palace, the people, especially within the confines of this area, have been able to make a lot of choices that were wrong. They voted for people because of what the president, as an individual, told them to do under the party. So later, as things move by, and as democracy tries to progress, we found out that there are some governors under, especially the APC, or the ruling party, and also the PDP, that have not been in sync with the philosophical desires of these parties. They have not been doing what they've not been paying salaries. There was no development.
So that leads me to the question I ask you.
Yes.
Is that a good omen for the political parties?
It's a very good omen for the political parties.
We saw the documentary in Kwara State.
Yes.
One of the political icons there said, Kwara South used to be UPN.
Yes.
And I remember vividly, you could say so across the country. Oh,
yes.
We are sure that this party will win from this state. But now, it is, for instance, in the last National Assembly elections, there were surprises. In Anambra, YPP won.
Yes.
In one of the seats.
Yes.
In Benue State, ABGA won.
Yes.
Surprise.
Yes.
So, is that a good signal for political parties?
That's
because
beauty.
If a political party stands on manifesto and people recognize them based on manifesto, and now the electorate is beginning to reason following candidature, not political parties. So you find Modibo lost a ticket in PDP, he moves to APC, he lost the ticket in APC, he moves to another party, and he wins. Is it a good trend?
Let me tell you, that is the beauty of democracy. I always believe that people's choice matters. In any democratic setup, the people must decide who rules them. The people must decide their leaders. The days of sitting under trees and then writing results and then just announcing them is gone. That is why this president, there was a time he went to Imo where he said, look, vote for your conscience, from your conscience. Vote for leaders that you think are right. I agree with him in total. Because a political party is just a symbol for you to fall into, to fall in line, but that does not give you the democratic rights to say that you must win election. That is why in those days people were rushing to PDP because of what has happened from 1999, while they will just sit and then announce result. Now, having found that place to be hot, it's not in the opposition, now they move to APC. And now, the consequences of these movements, this kind of electoral, panding to the whims and caprices, of a party in government, it's not going to be there. The beauty of democracy is the people's choice. And also the people of multiple democracy, where you have political parties, is the beauty. If you have gone to this party, but mind you, my major concern is lack of ideology. For you to move from one party, you go to another party, if you don't get, you go to another one, and also we win. And also that helps also in checkmating the issue of godfatherism. As you can see today, a lot of
Is it about godfatherism or internal democracy?
No, it works hand in hand. Godfatherism and internal democracy works hand in hand. Wherever you see crisis that is happening, mostly is because of godfatherism. Just check. Do a sample of almost all the problems we're having today in Nigeria.
Because
politics.
if Nigeria has migrated from a nascent democracy,
yes,
we are hitting almost 20 years now as an unbroken democracy.
Yeah.
One will expect that if I say I'm a member of Party A, I see that picture, that vision on the mission of that Party A.
Yes.
I'm a member of Party B, I see the same. But that is not the picture.
Yeah, we're still on
That's why I say, as a politician, as a popular person, is that not a threat even to the political party, the growth of political parties?
That is what I'm saying. You see, honestly and sincerely, I believe in ideology. I believe in ideological concepts of political parties. If you know that Party A has a manifesto and ideology that you like, stay there. But you see, the problem of Nigeria is we're under a nascent democracy where people believe that migration is necessary. There's a presidential candidate now that has moved to over. One of my friends said, this one looks like canary. From one tree to the other, we jump. About 5-6 parties already has gone. Does that give you the feeling that, look, that democratic credentials as a politician based on manifesto? He doesn't have a manifesto. If you have a manifesto, if you have the thinking of Nigerians, movement from one party to the other, it's in conflict with the dictates of conscience.
I know you talk about maybe it's an averse to democratic culture. Do you think if there's a regulation or a legislation to that effect, it could help?
You see, the Nigerian system, you cannot regulate that because you have freedom of movement, freedom of
That's what I mean. I mean,
yes.
I say it's a negation of democracy because if there's a legislation to the effect that if you belong to a particular party, you stick there.
No,
but you tell me it's a negation of democracy.
No, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for the fact that, let's properly situate this issue and contextualize it. My brother, the issue here is, do we have freedom of movement association, interaction, and also the freedom of choice in Nigeria, yes. The Constitution guarantees.
But is there abuse of it?
No, it's not an abuse. Under nascent democracy, this pandering to whims and caprices of political parties, or, we are trying to align and realign so that we can panel beat ourselves to a right political structure. I can assure you that let's get the next 20 or 40 or 30 years. If God in infinite mercies will take us there, you see that there will be change. Because for now, honestly and sincerely, we've been seeing how the changes are.
Because actually,
yes,
if you hear much of what we hear about void votes,
yes,
some experts, some analysts have said that we don't need to wait until it is time for politicking or electioneering before political parties become active. That it is even the primary role of political parties to embark on voter education. But some people thought it is just INEC and maybe National Orientation Agency. Now, after the elections, you don't hear so much about political parties. They go down. Whereas we expect maybe for them to churn out programs to educate even the masses. I can imagine if a particular party had devoted itself educating the electorate about its symbols, it could go that void votes would be a thing of the past.
Yes. No, and you see, the void votes are not necessarily from the issue of lack of education. No. If you look at that mat that they call the ballot paper, it's a mat.
You call it a mat?
Yes. So if you look at the ballot paper, the squares have made so small that sometimes, when you want to thumbprint, it overflows to another level. So the beauty of this democracy based on this number of political parties and also the ballot system has decided to bring a lot of these void votes. Now, you see, the beauty of politics is that we have to think. After elections, in any political setup, especially within the confines of Nigeria, you cannot gather 10, 20 people without thinking of giving them pure water. The issue of funding is there. So therefore, where do you get these funds to run all this?
We have political parties that have collaboration with other political parties in other climes.
Right.
They collaborate based on ideology, and they can easily build capacity and capability across board.
You see, I've been in this political terrain from 2001 when I was the National Director of Publicity of APP, which transmuted to ANPP. Now, I've spent about 10 years. I think I'm one of the most longest-serving National Director of Publicities in Sub-Saharan Africa. Now, my experience is that there is no how. I have never heard of this kind of international or national collaboration within political parties. What applies to a political party in either Britain or America might not necessarily be the same with Nigerian political structure, especially in Nigeria. During the time of former President Babangida, there was a leader to the right and a leader to the left, and maybe one at the center. So you find out that this thing was unable to meet the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. Now, with this multi-party democracy, which of the parties are you going to choose if you are from Europe or America, out of 91 parties, and which one are you going to leave out?
If their manifesto suits them.
Yes, but the issue of manifesto, there is going to be a problem because what applies to another country might not necessarily apply to our own. So the manifesto might be totally different. And also, but I strongly believe that based on credibility, based on your courage, based on your charisma, based on composure, based on your level of thinking, ideological base, and also based on the philosophical distance of your party, there might be people that would like to collaborate with you. I could remember, not long ago, there was a political party in Niger Republic. They were campaigning, they went and got their vehicles, they put President Muhammadu Buhari's picture along with that person looking for governorship or president. So, you see, they felt that, look, this is a man of credibility and this is a man of composure. And therefore, they decided
this issue is not exhausted, but I think we have to return back to the event of tomorrow.
Yes.
But before then, let's go to Ibadan and hear what plans Ibadan has for tomorrow. I hear Kemi Oshin is standing by in Ibadan. Hello, Kemi. Okay, back to tomorrow. We can't say enough about the electorate. Election is about the umpire and the people. If the people are not there, the electorate is not there, the election will not hold. No matter how much you agitate for votes, or sell your candidature, or sell your party, or the programs you do, how best should the electorate conduct themselves tomorrow?
Using any parameter of democratic practice, tomorrow's election, I am sure, or I want to bet my credibility, put my credibility and thinking on the line, that I think.
But not your life.
No, not my life. By the grace of God, we are going to have a free, fair, and credible elections.
Okay.
I have this, singular feeling of Nigeria being a victor in a democratic process. The security people are set. All the security forces, especially the police, the immigration, the civil defense, and what have you, they are all set. Maybe with military at the background in the event of any emergency. But for now, the security are set. INEC is doing a wonderful job, honestly. I want to believe that this INEC is focused, this INEC has credibility, because we could never have imagined a situation where a ruling party would lose 2 senators before. It happened in Adama, my state, where the APC lost 2 senators under this dispensation. That tells you that the political field has been opened.
Okay, we'll get there. The political field has been opened. I hear Ibadan is ready and Kemi Oshin is standing by. Kemi, what's the situation in Ibadan?
And welcome to Ibadan. Few hours from now, the electorate will go to cast their ballots in the much-awaited governorship and State House of Assembly elections. The electoral body, security personnel, politicians, and other active players in the election process are by now crossing their last T's and dotting their last I's. What are the measures on ground here in Oyo State to ensure that nothing goes wrong towards actualizing a free, fair, and credible election? As the 42 governorship candidates and the 659 House of Assembly candidates slug it out tomorrow for the governorship seat and the 32 seats available in the legislative arm of government. The anticipated day is just around the corner and the wait is almost over. Join me as I welcome into the studio of NTA Ibadan Nigeria Decides a political analyst, Professor Obono. Is from the Department of Sociology, University of Ibadan, as we take a look at the mood in town just few hours to the election. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Kemi.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. Like we said, how would you describe the mood in town?
There's a palpable tension in the air. I think the air of expectation is quite clear. People are looking at some of the developments that took place during the presidential and National Assembly election before now, and are perhaps projecting them into possibilities tomorrow. We've heard that security arrangements have been very firmed up, and that the police in particular is quite prepared for what they expect to be possible ballots snatching and what have you. This also shows that there must be intelligence out there, that there are plans either to undermine the credibility of the elections, and I think the voting populace is also reacting accordingly.
Okay. Even as we go to that, we also have some reports, and when we take some of those reports, I believe it will form a bedrock for our discussion. We have a report here of a former Minister of Sport and Special Duties, Professor Tawhid Adedoja, has he urged voters to conduct themselves peacefully after the Saturday, March 9th election, irrespective of party affiliations. He said this while addressing community leaders in Ibadan. Correspondent Shola Wahid has that report.
Professor Tawhid Adedoja, while addressing community leaders and youths at Kukuyemeja area of Ibadan Metropolis, said it is important for the people to avoid violence and conduct themselves peacefully before, during and after Saturday governorship and State House of Assembly elections.
You don't expect Olubadan to come and do this. We are his subjects. We must maintain peace and order by talking to them on their behalf. And that is why even if we say on behalf of ourselves, we still say on behalf of Olubadan, of Ibadan land, maintain peace and tranquility.
He stressed that there should be freedom of choice of political parties and candidates by the people, which should not provoke aggression that will lead to loss of lives and property. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
Thank you, Shola. And the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Ogun State, has expressed its readiness to ensure smooth and hitch-free voting on Saturday for governorship and state assembly election in the state. Let's join Mohammed Adebowali for details.
Professor Tawhida.
All is now set for governorship and the State House of Assembly elections as the Ogun State INEC commences distribution of electoral materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive, to the 20 local government areas in the state.
So as we speak, all our materials are intact. They are being moved to the rack centers. Even our smart card reader, which is very, very paramount and is the ultimate that we'll use on election day, we have reconfigured and we have taken all the machines down to the local government for onward transmission down to the rack centers.
Ad-hoc staff are also mobilized to all the 236 wards across the state as part of the final laps of preparations for the elections.
Time of accommodation, INEC prepare everything for us. They give us mats and they give us bed and soap to wash. Just prepare everything for us very well.
The election materials are being transported under tight security.
As electorates go to polls tomorrow to elect their next governor and member of a House of Assembly in Oyo State, more surprises await 42 candidates vying for the number 1 seat of governance in Oyo State. In this report, correspondent Abdurrauf Kamardin evaluates the voting pattern in the last 2 governorship elections conducted by INEC in Oyo State.
Since 2011, when the incumbent governor, Abela Ajumabi, who was then in the opposition party, Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, took power from former governor Adebayo Alao Akala of the then ruling party, PDP, who was seeking re-election, voting pattern has become unpredictable. In the governorship election in 2011, ACN candidate won with 420,852 votes to defeat PDP candidate who had 387,132 with 33,720 margin. However, in 2015, the incumbent governor, Abela Ajumabi, became the first governor to secure re-election, having defeated his contender from the Accord Party, former governor Rashid Ladoja, with 327,310 votes against 254,520 votes.
If they don't want you and they want your party, they will vote your party out. So that is why, people should match the candidate with political party. So you cannot see that, you cannot easily predict the pattern. And what is likely to happen on Saturday, the gubernatorial election, one may not likely predict.
From record, 15 political parties participated in 2011 governorship election in Oyo State, 12 in 2015, while the electorate will on March 9th determine the chance of 42 governorship candidates in 2019 general elections, even though 2 political parties have succeeded in their realignment talk with other political parties.
There are some of those, so this party lack party discipline, and they are flouting, electoral ward procedures, because one of the rules, electoral rules says that if you want to, change your mind and will not feature in the election, you have to do that before for the expiration of 45 days before the election. But you can see now 3 days, 4 days, 5 days to the election, you are now seeing the realignment. These parties that have realigned with the 2 major parties now, the logo of those parties will still feature on the ballot paper, and that shows that some people will vote will be voided on that day.
And the governor himself, not looking back to a godfather whom he's going to report to, he should know that he's controlling the fortune of the people in the state and should know how to manage it and get capable, competent people to work along with.
Whichever political party the pendulum swings to, the electorate are willing to elect leaders who are ready to turn things around in the state.
Thank you very much, Abdul Rauf. And that report will set the tone for our discussion. Professor, you have just listened to the report, and we learned that in 2015, 12 parties participated in the election, and now we have 42 political parties.
Yes.
What does that say of our electoral system?
Well, taking a measurement at 2 points will probably not be adequate for knowing what the trend will be. But if you backed up to 2011, okay, where you actually had 15 candidates, and then you come to 2015 where you had 12, and now you have 42 in 2019, what you have is a fluctuation, an initial dip, and then a rise that has now peaked at its current 42. There are several factors that could be at play here. First of all, it could be the underlying issues of a systemic kind that we've been talking about endlessly, where politics is actually seen as a form of occupation, where rather than people setting up industries with the resources they have and employing Nigerians and also reducing the rising youth unemployment rate, they are spending these monies setting up political parties and the infrastructure. So you see there's a dimension of the unemployment in the country and how it spreads across all cadre, and this is its manifestation among politicians. That kind of money can actually be used far more credibly in a different way. So there is the issue of the fluctuation also to be addressed.
Okay.
Yes.
I think at this point I would like to ask Omni in Abuja. Your guests have listened to that report. What is your take on some of the views that have just been raised?
Some of the issues that have just been raised from Ibadan on preparations.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the preparatory stages, the whole stage seems to be set. And I have confidence that with what I've heard from Oyo State, I think tomorrow we should expect, a very timely, very credible, and let's say free of rancor. I know Ibadan used to be the hotbed of Nigerian politics in the days gone by, especially in the 60s. Ibadan is, the hotbed of Nigerian politics, because without Ibadan, Nigerian politics seems to be more of a graveyard, silent graveyard. So I think with this development now, I have the confidence that tomorrow the vote of the people will count. And I'm sure the preparatory stages so far set, we believe that Ibadan is a fertile ground for all the political parties to come and contest. And therefore, may the best candidate win. And may every stumbling block be turned into a stepping stone for greater heights in democracy.
Okay. Well, Kemi, I'm happy to have Professor Obonga Martins with you there. I had a particular question on Modibo here. He's a public affairs analyst and politician, but I'm happy to have Professor Martins as an academic. So what's his view regarding the surprise we have had in this election, where there's some kind of departure from the electorate acting on political party manifestos, but looking more on the candidature? So what's your view? Political party manifesto, the electorate, and the candidature?
Thank you, Omini. I think it's a very healthy and extremely welcome development. In my view, for instance, the era where political parties can hold the electorate hostage, either through inducement or the threatened use of violence, to vote in a particular pattern that does not follow the convictions of the electorate, we seem to be receiving signals now that those days are over. Here's a situation where people look at the candidates and they decide that this is the individual who can deliver the goods to the people. And in consequence, they vote for that particular candidate regardless of the political party in which that individual finds himself or herself. The reason for this in the background is quite evident. First of all, you've had all kinds of mergers on the one hand, and if you look at historical party memberships and what they stand as now, you find out that a whole lot of people that were in a particular political party, take PDP, are actually in APC now. And certain people who were in APC before are now in PDP. So there is no clear cleavages. There are no clear junctures across the political parties. So the only thing that the electorate can hold on to and pin its hopes and belief upon is the credibility of individual candidates, regardless of where those candidates come. They ask some very critical questions. Where are these candidates coming from? What is their track record in terms of their honesty and integrity with the people? Have they entered into some sort of individual social compact with their people before now? Are they trustworthy? Are these the kind of people that they can entrust not just their lives, not just their businesses, but the education and proper health care for the elderly and for their young ones for the next 4 years? It then no longer matters which political party such candidates belong to. This means that a certain critical consciousness is emerging among the Nigerian populace. It's a very, very, very welcome development. Again, it reiterates and emphasizes something that has become common knowledge now, that the state of the nation is good. The fundamentals of the Nigerian state are strong. If you look at our performance in the civil sector, in the primordial public, if you like, if you look at us in sports, if you look at us in education, if you look at us in health, if you look at us in the sectors other than governance, this country is incredibly strong. But it is when you come to leadership, that is where the country fails. So once again, the Nigerian electorate, in my view, is rising up to the challenge of actually redeeming this nation, whether at the state level, and I think we'll see this again later on at the local government levels, but we've already begun to see this at the central federal levels. The logical expectations. It is individual character and the social capital that independent individuals are bringing into the game today.
Okay.
Leave it with Kemi. I think he has made his point there.
Yes, or your state, do you think that will result in give us a kind of close shave result in the output of the election results?
Well, you see, it's a worry that any Nigerian should have, or even international observer. These are not alliances. We use this terminology simply because it exists. What you have is pro-tem trading. These people are just having ad hoc trading arrangements that suit the purpose of securing power at that moment in time. An alliance such as a business merger takes a lot of time. It's not just something you do within 24 hours. Even the Electoral Act actually, condemns that kind of behavior. You cannot just rush into the... How long will it take the electorate to actually know that even such alliances, if they are indeed alliances, have been formed, in order for the electorate to have a debate healthy enough that will enable it to make its mind? So you see, it is actually part of the rig of the rigging. It is the rig of the rigging that is taking place. These are just subtle mechanisms for undermining the credibility of the results. There are many ways that electoral outcomes can be undermined. The process of what is happening now simply means that the Nigerian populace, if they are not careful, will be shortchanged once again by what has the similitude of a legal framework, of a legal context. But if you follow the Electoral Act, what is happening here is incompetent. It should be null and void. It costs the nation money to put people on the ballot, and once people know that they are going to vote for a particular party because a certain candidate is identified with the logo of that party, and then you produce huge amounts of documentation for that purpose, what happens to the old woman who treks through the sun to go and cast her vote? Will she be aware that this your so-called pseudo-alliance has already been formed. So it's not a legitimate thing to do. I think it even lacks integrity. If you have thought that you could lead your people for so long and you have started building structures for so long, why would you within 48 hours suddenly capitulate? Why not much earlier, where you could form a much more robust kind of arrangement that will suit the people that you claim you wish to serve? So I think this has to be discouraged in the strongest terms. This is not a legitimate feature of a democracy that will thrive.
Another angle is the issue of court rulings, like we have in the case of Enugu, where it's just been, the case is on, and it's Ayogu Eze. INEC, up till now, is yet to react. What do you think, or how will that affect the electorate?
You see, it's a bad time for the Nigerian judiciary. I'm very sorry to say. It's not a very good time for the Nigerian judiciary. It appears to be a system in some form of disarray, to the extent that even its head had quite a lot of trouble. So something that could have been an organizing principle was actually suddenly, dismantled and a new kind of system put in place. In that sense, it's not just Enugu in Cross River State. A spate of, appellate decisions or just a rush of court decisions. I think moving forward, under the auspices or aegis of INEC, we need to have a situation where stakeholders in the electoral process, including the judiciary, will come together and streamline processes. If there are going to be contestations at the level of party primaries, this must be concluded X number of days to the elections. This is the sort of thing that we should have a stakeholder roundtable to actually resolve. But we never had that before. And what is happening here cannot be described otherwise. It's an act of gross governance incompetence.
Thank you very much, Professor Oka Obono. And at this point, we shall be handing over back to Abuja, where Nigeria Decides continues.
Thank you, Kemi. And back in Abuja, reports just reaching us here indicates that the Independent National Electoral Commission has rescheduled Nasarawa Binyeri State Constituency election in Adamawa State to the 23rd of March 2019, following the death of the APC candidates. Well, we're back in Abuja, and I was very happy the professor and you, though divergent views, but you had an agreement there where it has to do with integrity. You had an agreement there.
Yes.
Now, let's move on. Tomorrow is a very, very important day. Compliance to timelines. If everything goes according to plan, are we likely to make sure that the result comes out as planned?
Yes, for long, Oden, my brother, Nigeria has found itself buckled under the full weight of a ravenous and greedy political class that had no rhyme nor rhythm, that whose major influence is just to capture power and not knowing what to do with it. But things are changing. There is now gradual and systemic overturn of events, where we see political parties bringing up people whose electorates will either vote for them or reject them. Most of these political parties, there is a need for our political class, especially the electorates, to change the face and character of governance, to change the face and character of democratic virtues. Let us look at issues of elections from a very, very clear perspective. What do we want on the elections? It's good governance. Therefore, tomorrow is a time for decision. Are we deciding to have failure, or are we just deciding to progress and move to the next level? Are we deciding tomorrow to get people of character, people of conviction, people of credibility, people of acceptability, and politicians that want to leave an imprint on the sand of time?
So how do you tie that with the electorate and poverty vis-a-vis vulnerability?
Yes, you see...
Hope you get my point. The electorate, poverty, and vulnerability.
You see the beauty of, especially these elections this time. Unlike before, where we had people going with sacks of money, trying to buy the conscience of electors, I think the present government haven't stated clearly that, Mr. President stated clearly that people should not use government money to go and buy votes or sink it into the political district. We started changing. And I'm so happy that now the common man, especially the professor and I that don't have maybe plenty money, we can come into the political arena. I want him to come with his vast experience in political development of this country. He should come and contest. People like him should come out. Let them contest. Let's make Nigeria great by bringing people of substance, people of class, people of distinction. Not leaving the political scene for riffraffs or the political space for people that have not even gone to school or that doesn't know much about politics.
I still take your answer with a pinch of salt. I'll still come back there because clearly, if you look at it critically, the electorate poverty principle and vulnerability, it is a very serious problem. But we'll come back to that. Makurdi is ready and Ademola Adeoye is ready. Hello, Ademola. What's the update from Makurdi?
Including the National Center Party of Nigeria, NCP.
The battle. And I have in the studio with me two gentlemen. They are going to discuss more on the issue tonight. My immediate right, I have Mr. Anthony Aduko, who is the State Director, National Orientation Agency, Benue State. You're welcome to Nigeria Decides.
Thank you.
And also
Thank you, viewers.
Okay. John Ode, Center for Transparency, Advocacy Observer. You are welcome to Nigeria Decides.
Thank you very much.
Now, let me start with the NOA State Director. What is the level of awareness NOA have been able to create amongst the electorate?
Yes, the National Orientation Agency, in fact, started preparing the ground for the general election, even as far back as the late 2017. You are aware that Benue State was almost riddled with conflict between two brothers, let me say.
Yeah.
So we started, the National Orientation Agency started preparing the ground. We carried out series with the North Central launch of things, preparing the state and other various communities to remain at peace with each other. Okay. So on the 4th of November 2017, we embarked on that aggressive drive to ensure that we properly conscientize our people to be peaceful with each other, irrespective of which tribe you belong to in Nigeria. So in 2018 and 2019, we began the voter education proper. Okay. And voter education proper involves conscientizing the people, mobilizing them to come up right from registration period for them to arm themselves with permanent voters card, up to the point of now that the election was close by, we now decided to embark on voter education proper, and the three key things that was on our lips was issue of peaceful election, vote buying, okay, and void vote, because these three cardinal issues were the issues that the National Orientation Agency looked at, issues that could actually cause problems when the election released. So we decided to carry out these various stages. Okay. We segregated it. We started by this issue of void votes, and then we went into peaceful election, and then we also went into vote buying. And we were able to print a lot of IEC materials. And then in the process of doing that, we're showing them how to vote. We had the specimen for the ballot paper, okay, and even the political parties, the political party symbols. Okay. We had two of those in the electorate. After gathering a lot of people at the headquarters, in Makurdi here, we now went to the local government and started carrying out a series of rallies.
Okay, because I was going to ask you that with a number of political parties, it's going to be extremely difficult for the voters to know the symbols and the logos of the political parties, besides the two prominent ones, that is the APC and the PDP, probably maybe the other third party. But I'm going to come to that. But let me get John concerning the last presidential election. What was your observation?
Okay, observation in terms of what really happened from the beginning.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
What we observed in the previous election, or the one that just concluded the presidential election,
2 weeks ago.
The ballot papers, some of the ballot papers didn't go to the polling units on time.
Okay.
Making election process to start very, very late. And another one was, apart from that, which was very, very persistent, I have observed, the security was very, very okay. Electorates were very, very enlightened about how to vote, because when you are comparing the ballots, the counted ballots, and the void ones, it is not up to what we experienced in the past years, because it is lesser. And again, I want to pick the one I picked very, very much, which I was very, very baffled about, was when those ballot papers, especially the senatorial ballot papers, was not available. So some of the voters were saying, can we go ahead doing the accreditation and then voting? And then some countered immediately that no, following the INEC the principles of INEC for this election. And I was like, they even know about the principles of INEC. And that was very, very good about it. They said, going by that, we are supposed to do this simultaneously. What if we do that? And again, that senatorial aspect was for them, which is for the people.
Okay.
It is not for
national.
Yes. So it is a really they don't need to go about. So
okay. Now, before we continue, I want us to take this report because it touched on what you spoke about, Benue State being one of the flash points in this election. It says the Acting Inspector General of Police, Abubakar Mohammed Adamu, in ensuring a peaceful governorship, State House of Assembly, and 2 supplementary elections in Benue State, has deployed 5 additional commissioners of police to the state. Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of North Central State elections, Godwin Nwobodo, disclosed briefing journalists in Makurdi. Blessing Omeche Bute has details.
The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of North Central State, Godwin Nwobodo, says the deployment is for effective security presence in the areas identified as flashpoints. The affected local government areas are Agatu, Logo, Gwe East, Gwe West, Guma, Okpoku, Kasinala, and Unkum.
A total number of 5 commissioners of police, 4 deputy commissioners of police, and 2 assistant commissioners of police are already in the states to man strategic senatorial districts and local governments. These deployments are friendly, proactive, and not aimed or targeted at any individual persons or groups.
The DIG further advised stakeholders to familiarize themselves with the Electoral Act so as to avoid infractions with the law.
Tampering with election materials, hijack of ballot boxes, and other disruptive tendencies targeted at truncating the electoral process will be met with stiff resistance.
He encouraged members of the public to be law-abiding and assured them of adequate protection during and after the elections.
Yes, you have just seen that that's press briefing.
Yes.
I think it took place just a few hours ago in Makurdi here, and from what we gathered, it's like the police is set, to ensure that there is adequate security and peace during the election. This kind of situation was also envisaged last 2 weeks ago, but the situation was relatively calm.
Yes.
And what do you think is likely to happen tomorrow? I mean, judging from what you have seen and the atmosphere.
Yes. In fact, Tuesday or Wednesday, the stakeholders, including the Commissioner of Police, the DIG, and even the REC, Resident Electoral Commissioner, including myself and other stakeholders, we met in police officers' mess and were able to carry out a kind of post-mortem examination on the past presidential election. And arising from what they took from us is quite responsive. They must have taken the aggregate of our information to marry to be able to come up with more of this plan. Quite fine. The election was very peaceful comparatively. You know what happened in other states.
Yeah.
So it was quite peaceful, and we want to encourage the people of Benue State to continue in that form. It is not good that our state should be known for violence. And the election that came to do, there were few incidences of ballot box snatching, I think in 2 separate locations. And the police, on the whole, I want to say that the government of the police and the security personnel, it is in order. My experience in the last election, the security personnel were quite orderly, they were quite civil, and they played the rule according to they played the game according to the rule.
Okay.
Yes, I never saw harassment from anybody, and I never got any information of harassment from any quarter.
Now, John Ude, let me ask you, what feedback have you been receiving from the electorate concerning, the candidates, and also concerning this election? I mean, you'll be on ground for a while now. Know that you would have interacted with some of them. Okay. What have you observed? What feedback have you received from them?
Well, feedbacks from the observers, for this tomorrow's election.
Yes.
We have 3 major parties right now, as far as we're concerned in Benue State, which is the PDP, the APC, and the PRP.
Okay.
The contenders, the candidates are very, very good, and it's very, very competitive. And so you begin to hear a lot of things concerning, those are campaign messages. And then some others, of course, not everybody will speak well of others, but we know their capabilities. The feedbacks we get, though most of them negative, but also positive. Like, I got a feedback from somebody who supports PDP and say, well, the candidate of PRP is good, but anybody that wins, of course, the person will serve, and we accept the person as our governor.
Okay.
So actually, around the point, the 3 persons, the feedbacks that we get, well, they are encouraging enough for us to work with.
Okay. Let me. Don't have much time. Let me ask the State Director of National Orientation Agency. The issue of this adoption has become a phenomenon now, especially in this. Just few hours to the election, you see somebody like in this state, we have 33 candidates, and we just gathered that about 20 or 23 of them have adopted one of the major candidates. I mean, How would you describe
in
that?
fact,
Because are they really into this, or is just feel as there's no seriousness in this?
The situation is quite worrisome in the sense that these are people that came out initially and
because
they were
confused.
You know, they came out initially and they have the intention to run for various political offices, and then at the end of the day they will come and tell you that they have now decided not to contest again. It's quite worrisome.
Okay.
And I think the political parties themselves, the hierarchy is not strong to discipline such people. That is why it is happening.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know. I was talking of this situation.
Okay, situation. Okay,
yes.
We have just 2 minutes.
Okay. For the people of Benue State, you are coming for election tomorrow, and we have said that when you see anything that does not go well with your intention, you should be able to tell us. And we have situation room number which we have been given to people.
Okay.
So I want to just run few. They're up to 6, but I'll get to...
Can you run them?
Okay. 070 67 374913. Then the other one is 080 3478 6302. The other one is 080 3588 4904. The other one again is 080 1773 548. Then the 080 33004406. These are situation room where you are directly linked with the security personnel, so that in an event you see anything that is strange and you want to report, you call one of these numbers. I will also leave it for the NTA to be flashing it sometime, because we are pressed for time, so that if you have the opportunity to be flashing it, so that the electorate will get
that we shall do
yes.
in our subsequent appearance. Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony Aduku, State Director, National Orientation Agency, Benue State, for coming on Nigeria Decides. And thank you for coming on Nigeria Decides. We're still going to have you because this continues tomorrow and next tomorrow until the results are announced. Omini is back to you, and this is the beat that we have for now from Makurdi. Thank you,
Ademola. And back in Abuja, before we went to Makurdi, I sustained one information. Before then, just to re-emphasize this report, reports that reaching us indicates that the Independent National Electoral Commission has rescheduled Nasarawa Binyeri State Constituency election in Adamawa State to the 23rd of March 2019, following the death of the APC candidate there. Well, before we went to Makurdi, we were sustaining one discussion. I said, what do you make of the electorate, poverty, principle, and vulnerability tied to vote buying?
Well, thank you, Omini. Before we go to that, let me send my heartfelt condolences, because Adamawa is my state, and I haven't lost, one of the contestants there, and the shifter of the elections, my heart bleeds. But may the Almighty God repose the soul of the deceased, and may God also grant the family the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. Having said that, you see, the issue the dividing line is very thin between inducements and the poverty level, as well as
principles.
Yep. The dividing line as to how to cope these three things and bring them into line is very, very narrow and difficult. But the beauty is, as I've said, you see, I always think of this Chinese proverb that says, don't cause darkness, light the candle. Now, for this government to insist on telling Nigerians that the issue of credibility, the issue of integrity, and the issue of the fact that Nigeria should vote for the best is paying off. In those days, you see trailer loads of rice, beans, wrapper, money everywhere. But this election, there's a change. Even if you go to the market now, you see that some of this election, are we sure that we're in election? Because the money is not there. What people used to I mean, what people were used to is no longer there. It's a novel. It's a different thing entirely. Right from 1990 today, it used to be a kind of a jamboree. It was a bazaar where people were going gaga with government money. But now, where is even the money? If you say you're going to distribute money to you, why do you even find it? Because Ibrahim Magu is always looking at you. If you say you are going to the bank to go and withdraw money, EFCC will be trailing. They will trail low, and they will get you. So, except if you have been able to dig a big hole in your house and kept the money for long.
The electorate now.
Yes.
Because
now,
the vulnerability, if for tonight, tomorrow is the election,
yes,
and a voter or an electorate maintains his stand, I come to him, solicit my votes, and sway him, then principles and poverty becomes a problem.
Take it or leave it, my brother. Let me tell you, these days, people are getting wiser. Some people, you bring money, some people collect it, and believe me, tomorrow they'll go and vote another person. Because the beauty now is, you don't show anybody why you've printed. And there's no camera, because in the days gone by, they'll tell you to swear with either the Bible or the Quran that you're going to vote for me, and they'll give you money. Or they will tell you, after this thing, take with your camera, snap it and bring. We'll give you more. But now, there's no camera, nothing. And even if they tell you to swear now, you can just say, mama, your mouth, okay, it's all right. Collect. After collecting, go and vote your conscience. People have done it. Look at the presidential election. If you look at what did President give? He didn't give anything to people. He said people should use public money, and public money were not expanded. But if you see what is going to happen tomorrow, let me tell you, credibility will matter. Electoral composure, courage, and the feeling of belonging to people, the haste in trying to transform the lives of people, in trying to provide dividends of democracy. Because if you look at, there are a lot of these senators that were only interested in the personal accumulation of public wealth.
Just the last word.
Yes.
A guest told me here that if you sell your vote or you're vulnerable to a politician who offers money, you have devalued your citizenship.
Exactly.
Can you reinforce that to the electorate?
Yes. Everybody knows, it's a common dictum, that if you sell your vote, you have to sell your conscience. One. And honestly and sincerely, I strongly believe that if somebody, out of greed, he wants to buy your conscience, collect the money, but don't vote for him. Find the best candidate, the man that you know, even if he doesn't have 10 kobo, that will meet to the yearnings and aspirations of your common good, will see to the development stride of the community, will also represent you very well, not trying to line his pockets, because the days of lining pockets is over. What we need is a new democratic template that will see to the yearning and aspiration of the common man.
Well, thank you so much, Ibrahim Modibo, Public Affairs.